Hey guys, it's Blake Johnson. Today, I will be talking to you about my nuclear project. My project is on nuclear waste and a long term solution as to what we can do with that waste. What is nuclear waste? Nuclear waste is usually the excess fuel that has already traveled through a nuclear reactor. Nuclear waste is also known as radioactive waste, and only radioactive elements can produce nuclear waste. This image below shows the radioactive elements on the periodic table. They are naturally radioactive and very dangerous. Nuclear reactors. Nuclear reactors are responsible for housing the atoms as they split, and the energy that is released is maintained by the reactor. That released energy causes a turbine to go into motion, which spins a generator, which produces electricity. This electricity is then used by us. Excess waste after energy. For a long time, scientists have tried to come up with an idea as to what they might do with this excess waste. As of now, there is no solution for reusing this waste. All waste is being temporarily stored. The waste sits in water for about 20 years, then is moved to metal containment boxes where it stays for millions of years, unless someone comes up with a more effective long-term solution. This waste is extremely dangerous and must be handled very properly. My solution. I think that if we were to dig down into the ground very deep, we would be able to avoid the risk of someone or something accidentally exposing the environment to radiation. If we were to dig somewhere in the middle of Nevada where no one lives or resides, and fill the tunnels with mud or wet sand, then the risk of radiation exposure would be very minimal. These tunnels would contain the excess nuclear waste barrels. The pros. If these excess radiation barrels are stored underground and buried, then people will be much safer. They will be covered up so there is no way that someone can accidentally open one of these barrels and harm others. With these barrels underground, we are not just delaying this problem with short-term solutions. We can actually keep these barrels safe for millions of years to come. This is an actual solution, not a delay of the inevitable. Whereas other storage facilities are in places where people live, this new type of facility will be where it is uninhabitable for people. Maybe even in the middle of a dry lake salt bed would be a good place to store them. For example, Salt Lake City. They have a giant salt lake and no one lives there. This could be a good place to store excess nuclear waste. The cons. There are risks to all things, and that is still the case for this long-term plan. It is possible that hundreds of thousands of years from now, someone could dig up these harmful waste zones before they could be fully become harmless. This project, while being extremely helpful, would only be possible to a country with lots of money. To build and maintain such a place would probably cost millions of dollars, and it would take a long time to complete. This country would have to have natural resources and the ability to get work done in construction. Scientists. When nuclear or reactive waste is brought up, Marie and Pierre Curie are immediately thought of. They are the founders of basically everything that we know about radiation today. They discovered and named uranium and plutonium, which under certain conditions emit radiation. These two elements give us our first understanding of what radiation really is. The Curies are instrumental to the radioactive part of science. Scientists continued. Enrico Fermi was a scientist who invented the nuclear reactor. In doing so, he paved the way for us to make something that generates power as atoms split. He is very instrumental in dealing with our current problem today, which is generating power with as little waste as possible. There is still waste, and we need these facilities to house it. Australia. Australia is the country that I thought I could compare with our nuclear problem. I chose them because they do not have a definite long-term solution to solving the nuclear waste problem. They just have short-term storage that eventually won't work. However, there was a case study done by some scientists from Australia. They deemed that the world needed to create a long-term solution for this problem. They still have above-ground facilities, so as of now, they do not have a long-term solution. However, the people of Australia and the scientists of Australia began work with these underground facilities. Eventually, Australia would have these underground facilities to house their excess nuclear waste. My nuclear equation. This is the nuclear reactor equation for my primary isotope, uranium. As uranium-236 breaks down, it becomes barium-141 and krypton-92 plus energy. This is the primary isotope in the process of breaking down nuclear waste. It's very important, and this also affects the process. Thank you for listening to my ideas on how to help the world with our nuclear waste problem.